Right now, as you watch this video, the most powerful battle for American freedom is being fought behind closed doors. Silicon Valley giants are making moves that could silence your voice forever, and the government is finally fighting back with weapons they never expected. If you want to stay ahead of this digital war that will determine America's future, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because what I'm about to reveal will shock you. Drop a comment below telling me which tech company you think poses the biggest threat to free speech in America. The timeline we're living through right now is unprecedented. On January 20th, 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14149, officially titled Restoring Freedom of Speech and Ending Federal Censorship. This wasn't just political theater. This was a declaration of war against big tech's censorship machine. The order specifically targets what Trump calls the Biden administration's substantial coercive pressure on third parties to moderate social media content. But here's what the mainstream media isn't telling you. This executive order is just the opening move in a much larger chess game. Within weeks of Trump's executive order, the Federal Trade Commission launched an unprecedented inquiry on February 20th, 2025. The FTC is now demanding that tech platforms from Meta to Uber explain exactly how they deny or degrade users access to services based on the content of their speech. This isn't just about Facebook posts getting flagged anymore. The government is investigating ride-sharing apps, delivery services, payment processors, and cloud hosting companies. They're looking at the entire digital infrastructure that powers American life. Representative Jim Jordan sent letters to multiple big tech firms in March 2025, demanding documents that could provide evidence of systematic censorship. The House Oversight Committee is calling it the cover-up, a coordinated effort between big tech, government agencies, and mainstream media to silence American voices. But big tech isn't sitting quietly. They've been preparing for this moment for years, building what industry insiders call the resistance infrastructure. This network includes legal teams worth billions, lobbying operations that dwarf most countries' defense budgets, and algorithmic systems designed to operate independently of government oversight. The stakes couldn't be higher because we're not just talking about social media posts being removed. We're talking about a complete reimagining of how information flows in American society. Every search result you see, every news article that appears in your feed, every product recommendation you receive, it's all controlled by algorithms that Silicon Valley claims are neutral but government investigators say are deeply biased. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Tech companies have developed what they call content moderation at scale, but leaked internal documents reveal something far more sophisticated. They've created AI systems that can identify and suppress content based on political viewpoints, cultural perspectives, and ideological frameworks. These systems don't just remove individual posts. They create what researchers call shadow networks, invisible barriers that limit how far your content can spread, who can see it, and how algorithms promote or suppress it. You might think your tweet or video is being seen by all your followers, but in reality, the platform might be showing it to less than 5% of them. The Department of Justice's Antitrust Division hosted a big tech censorship forum on April 4th, 2025, bringing together legal experts, technology researchers, and free speech advocates. What they discovered was shocking. The censorship systems are so advanced that they can suppress entire categories of political thought without leaving obvious fingerprints. Think about this. When you search for information about controversial topics, the results you see aren't necessarily the most accurate or comprehensive. They're the results that algorithmic systems have determined are safe according to the political and cultural biases programmed into them by their creators in Silicon Valley. Payment processors like PayPal and Stripe have joined this ecosystem, cutting off financial services to individuals and organizations that express certain viewpoints. Cloud hosting companies like Amazon Web Services can shut down entire websites and applications with no warning and minimal oversight. The scope is staggering. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and other financial institutions have been providing transaction data to government agencies, which then use that information to identify and track Americans based on their political activities, and purchasing patterns. Social media platforms have developed sophisticated psychological profiling systems that can predict your political beliefs with over 90% accuracy based on your online behavior. They use this information not just for advertising, but to curate what information you're allowed to see. The censorship infrastructure extends beyond American borders. Silicon Valley has partnered with international organizations and foreign governments to create global content moderation standards that supersede American constitutional protections. Here's what makes this particularly dangerous. The systems are designed to be invisible and deniable. When your content gets less engagement, when your business loses online visibility, when your political viewpoints seem to reach fewer people, you're told it's just the algorithm, just the way these systems naturally work. But internal whistleblowers and leaked documents reveal the truth. These systems are carefully designed to shape public opinion, influence elections, and control the boundaries of acceptable discourse in American society. The European Union's Digital Services Act and similar international regulations are being used as templates for censorship systems that American companies then implement globally, including in the United States. This allows them to circumvent First Amendment protections by claiming they're just complying with international law. Major advertising networks controlled by Google, Facebook, and other tech giants can financially destroy media outlets and content creators by cutting off their revenue streams. They call it demonetization, but it's economic censorship, silencing voices by making it impossible for them to survive financially. The artificial intelligence systems being deployed are learning and evolving constantly. They're not just following programmed rules anymore. They're developing their own understanding of what content should be promoted or suppressed based on patterns in the data they've been trained on. This creates a feedback loop where censorship becomes more sophisticated and harder to detect over time. The AI systems learn to suppress content in ways that seem natural and unbiased, even though they're actually implementing the political and cultural preferences of their creators. Trump's executive order and the FTC investigation represent the first serious government pushback against this system in years. But big tech companies have spent billions preparing for exactly this moment. They've hired former government officials, developed legal strategies, and created technical systems designed to resist government oversight. The battle is being fought on multiple fronts simultaneously: in Congress, through executive orders, in federal court cases, and in state legislatures across the country. But the most important battleground might be public awareness, whether Americans understand what's really happening to their digital freedoms. Tech companies are arguing that government intervention represents the real threat to free speech, claiming that they're private companies with the right to moderate content as they see fit. But critics point out that these platforms have become essential public infrastructure, more important than traditional utilities like electricity or water. The counter-argument is powerful. If a handful of Silicon Valley executives can control what 300 million Americans are allowed to see, hear, and say online, then we don't really have free speech anymore. We have managed speech, curated by algorithms and corporate policies that serve political and commercial interests. The immediate consequences are already visible. Independent media outlets are losing reach. Political candidates are being deplatformed during election seasons, and medical professionals are being silenced for expressing scientific viewpoints that contradict official narratives. Small businesses are discovering that their online visibility can disappear overnight if they express the wrong political opinions. Individuals are losing jobs and opportunities because algorithmic systems have flagged them as politically undesirable based on their social media activity. The long-term implications are even more serious. We're moving toward a society where the boundaries of acceptable thought are determined not by democratic processes or constitutional principles, but by corporate algorithms and Silicon Valley culture. This isn't just an American problem anymore. These same companies and systems are being exported globally, creating a worldwide network of information control that operates beyond the reach of any single government or democratic institution. The resistance is growing, though. Alternative platforms are emerging, decentralized technologies are being developed, and politicians from both parties are recognizing the threat. But the question remains, is it too little, too late? The next few months will be crucial. The FTC investigation will either expose the full scope of big tech censorship or be buried under corporate legal challenges and lobbying pressure. Trump's executive orders will either reshape how these platforms operate or be undermined by Silicon Valley's resistance infrastructure. Meanwhile, Americans are caught in the middle of this digital civil war, often unaware that their access to information is being actively managed and manipulated by systems they can't see or understand. The choice we face is stark. Either we reassert democratic control over the information systems that shape our society, or we accept that our speech, our thoughts, and our access to information will be permanently controlled by a handful of tech billionaires and their algorithmic systems. This is why understanding what's happening right now is so critical. Every American needs to know that their digital freedoms are under assault, that the government is finally fighting back, and that the outcome of this battle will determine the future of free speech in America. The plan to censor all of America isn't coming. It's already here. The only question is whether we'll recognize it in time to fight back effectively. The war for America's digital soul is being fought right now, and every American has a stake in the outcome. Subscribe to stay informed about every development in this crucial battle, because the mainstream media won't tell you the truth about what's really happening to your freedoms. The future of American liberty depends on citizens who understand the threat and are willing to demand action from their representatives. The clock is ticking, the battle lines are drawn, and the future of free speech in America hangs in the balance. What happens next depends on whether Americans wake up to this threat before it's too late to stop it.